Hey guys, of course the new ban list is in effect now, and so as usual I wanted to provide an updated Cyber Dragon deck list for this current format. Now what's changed, right? So for one, Arise Heart's gone, which is actually kind of big because that banishing effect really meant that we could not contact fuse as easily as we normally would, especially under a great card like Clockwork. So essentially that meant I took out that Sky Striker package I was playing because those kind of served as additional ways to like handle the Arise Heart, but now we don't really need that anymore. On top of that, in terms of let's say meta matchups, I would say against Pearly, it's actually surprisingly not bad because for one, I actually surveyed Pearly players, which you can certainly check out in a separate video. It kind of details like the key strengths and weaknesses of that deck. And one of the things is that, even if you out DX Pearly Noir, which we can easily do because we have a searchable Kaiju in Cyber Dragons, while they do gain resources back from the graveyard, one of the weaknesses of Pearly that the players mentioned is that, it doesn't mean anything if you can't actually survive until the next turn, right? And that's exactly what Cyber Dragon aims to do is, in terms of like OTK strategy, at least that's the way I'm going towards, and just being able to, make sure that you finish them after you out the Noir in the same turn. Against Unchained, it's definitely a little trickier because they can just pop a lot of stuff, and of course we do need bodies on board, especially for something like Machine Dupe to resolve. So anyways, I'll go over a little bit more detail as I go over the deck list, but let's just get started. Alright, so let's just start with the main deck, and of course we're going to start with the 3 Cyber Dragon Core. Searches you whatever Cyber Dragon spell or trap that you need. We also have the 3 Hers, of course. Basically, it's primarily there to be pitched for Galaxy Soldier so that you can go into your Nova Infinity line of play. We're going to still stick with the double Naxxter. I actually really like this ratio for multiple reasons. Like, obviously, for the main part, this is coming out of Cyber Dragon Core when you banish it from grave and your opponent has a monster and you do not. And then, Naxxter summons from the deck and you can revive something like, Nova Infinity or Chimera Rampage as long as it was summoned properly. But there are times, let's say, sometimes I actually send Naxxter to the grave with Rampage for potential follow-up if I need to. Let's say in the future I can just use Ref System, bring Naxxter and bring back like a Nova Infinity again. And also sometimes just having it in your hand as well, especially let's say you get interrupted and you just have another way to special Naxxter and then just bring back like a Nova or Infinity that might have been sent to grave as you were trying to play through your opponent's board. So it can definitely come up as well. And of course we're playing Clockwork Night, which means just having other Cyber Dragon bodies just for contact fusing is always kind of nice. And of course we cannot forget the OG 3 Cyber Dragons. We are still playing with the Machine Dupe variant, and I am playing like the OTK version, and so this is definitely still going to be played at 3. Certainly nice for contact fusing. And of course, honorary Cyber Dragon is the double Galaxy Soldier. This has been pretty standard in terms of ratios for quite some time, just being able to go into Nova Infinity line. And of course, the good thing is, Droll has certainly fallen down in terms of play, and so the Soldier line definitely does not get punished too much anymore. We're playing double Kaiju, and this is because normally you usually play one in Cyber Dragons, but as I said, like Pearly, like we kind of need to like Kaiju that X Pearly Noir, and this is searchable off of Repair Plan for us, so it's always nice. Definitely make the habit of summoning this in under the extra monster zones in case you have to like suck it up with Anima. And of course we're actually adding back the Therian Regulus again, especially with Arise Heart gone now. I feel that you actually have cards or like your machines in grave, and definitely something you can just put out another big body, and potentially if you don't kill them that turn, at least you have another negate alongside something like Infinity. And I'm actually gonna just main deck the 3 Nib as the only hand traps in the deck because I definitely don't want to play into like Talents or Thrusts for the most part, because this is a going second deck, and so Nibiru is very, very high impact against a lot of decks, and it's also a light so that you can at least pitch off Galaxy Soldier to summon it in the worst case scenario. Okay, now before I move on to the spells, I just want to also thank Dragon Shield for their recent hookup. Definitely go check out some of their new season, including custom sleeves on their website, and you can use my affiliate link. And you can also use Kuna10 for 10% off on Team Stamp sleeves as well if you're interested in that as well. So moving on to the spells, we of course have triple Cyber Emergency to just add whatever Cyber Dragon monster that you need. We also have the 1 Repair Plan. A lot of times you're actually adding Galaxy Soldier off this, but you know what, against Pearly, maybe you do have to search that Jizuku, for example, just to out that Noir. We also have the Ref System. This is certainly can be pretty good, especially it just serves as another way to help you get into that Nova Infinity line, but sometimes it can also, let's say, you just have to contact fuse your opponent's board because you already have Clockwork Night up, then at least Ref System can help you do that through interruptions if like your Cyber Dragon bodies kind of got sent to grave. And also this is a good way to summon something like, let's say, like Naxxter brings back, again, like Nova Infinity, or sometimes you even bring back Seeger because Seeger's treated Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, and so then it also has a protective effect as well, so then it makes it really kind of hard to out the Seeger because it can boost itself as well. We also have the 1 Overload Fusion just to go into Rampage. I'm playing Cyberload Fusion. I'm still not doing that, even though of course if you get Bestials, sure, Cyberload Fusion can be nice. For a lot of times it can be kind of a brick. You don't ever really want to open with it for the most part. It's something that you kind of want to search in like the grind game and then it comes up. But again, you know, I just want to like be able to finish my opponent that turn. I think nowadays, you know, Cyber Dragon used to be good where it had the capability of OTKing, but it actually had a really good grind game. But you know, in the last couple of years, like rogue decks have become very hard to play nowadays, and I think the best suit for Cyber Dragon is to just try to OTK the opponent as much as possible, and that's why I'm also not playing Prosperities anymore, even though I do think ideally you want to play and just kind of play like a grindy game style. We're also going to play the triple machine dupe because again, we're trying to OTK here, and so this is definitely going to be great. Unfortunately, it's not like the old days where if you resolve this, you had a really good chance of winning. Nowadays, it's still an uphill battle, but you still want to be able to use it. Of course, we have the triple Clockwork Night. This is for the most part to help you contact fuse away your opponent's board, and it's really nice mechanic. But at the same time, you know, one of the downsides of Clockwork is that it does give the 500 attack boost, which you might think is really good, but against for something like, let's say, like your baby Cyber Dragons, you actually need them to be smaller so that you can actually machine dupe into Cyber Dragon. So you have to kind of sequence it properly, and this can technically also get you access to King Regulus as well. We're still rocking the triple Duality as well. Definitely been trying out with like 2/2 and whatever. You know, for now, I think it's fine. Again, I'm trying to prioritize OTKing, and this is really there to help push for game, especially just like during battle phase. And you can go into something like, let's say, Cyber Twin with using Chimeric Fortress, for example, and definitely can lead to easy kills there. And some generic power spells. We're going to play the double Lightning Storm as well as the Feather Duster. You're not seeing as much play as Labyrinth anymore, but you know, just any kind of back row, any kind of like monsters in attack mode, at least you can like clear boards. And of course, we're also going to play the Change of Heart, which I think has become kind of popular just because of like Unchained. You never want to really like destroy their cards because they're just going to constantly float. You want to kind of like take things away. And speaking of take things away, I guess you can also have the double talents which as a going second deck, this is pretty much always going to be live, and just being able to take your opponent's monsters and just attack things away. Or let's say worst case, like you have to draw two and hopefully you have a better hand, but nonetheless very strong for any kind of going second deck. And of course, a staple in a going second deck is something like Triple Tactics Thrust to help you get access to all of those like very key powerhouse spells that you saw. It could be some kind of like board breaker, or sometimes let's say you have all the board breakers you need, but you just don't have any access to like Cyber Dragon play, so you can use this to search something like the Emergency or the Machine Dupe, things like that, even Overload Fusion sometimes, and help you push for game. Alright, so now let's move on to the extra deck, and of course we're going to start with the Almirage to help you get that baby Cyber Dragon into the grave. The Anima, it definitely comes up. I've always tried to cut this, but honestly it just happens quite a bit, like especially when you actually give you like the Kaiju to your opponents under the extra monster zone, or even like a Nib token. Of course, if you suck up the Nib token, its attack is still going to be zero regardless of what the actual attack was of that token. Seeger to help you enable OTKs, but realistically it actually doesn't come up nearly as much as one might think if you are kind of new to Cyber Dragons, but nonetheless it's still there. We're sticking with the double Nova. The second one always comes up for me a lot of times where, you know, let's say like the first one, it gets kind of interrupted and you still have extenders to be able to go into another one, or even in the same turn, or even like later in the game as well. And of course, the double Infinity as well to help you kind of break boards and also set up a negate if you can't manage to kill them. I play two just because anytime I use Naxxra's effect, I always like to revive the Nova instead and then just go into a second Infinity so that Infinity has a negate on the summon. Of course, we have the Big Daddy Zeus. This also helps clear like a lot of fields, especially let's say you have something like Floodgates, like, you know, I don't know, anti-spell fragrance, and maybe they don't have as much setup otherwise, but you can at least try to go into like the Nova Infinity route and then Zeus and then just board clear that way. Some Chimeric fusions, of course, the double Rampage. This is what really helps us enable our OTKs. Can also pop spell and traps as well if it's a fusion summon, and just being able to attack multiple times. And not only that, actually being able to send the two light machines can also help enable further plays as well. Double Chimeric Fortress, we are playing triple Clockwork Night, and you know, you need at least two to like contact fuse your opponent's board and just have it can get pretty big, so definitely two. If you can somehow fit three, sure, but realistically I don't think I've been in a situation where I needed a third one. For the most part, we're playing just the one Mega Fleet. This can also come up not nearly as much nowadays, but you know what, you still need to play it. Some other duality targets, we're going to play the Cyber Twin Dragon, which comes out of essentially you can use Chimeric Fortress, and then you can go into this, like let's say especially in a battle phase, and then you just attack twice and it becomes 5600 attack. The other Duality target is Cyber Returning Dragon. This is for Chimeritic Mega Fleet, and this can also serve as kind of like a defensive wall, but also 2800 attack is actually pretty good. To be honest with you, I kind of wanted to cut this for something like, let's say, just a generic link to like Azalea, especially because if we're playing something like Change of Heart, Triple Tactic Sound, if we can't actually kill our opponent that turn, then, you know, you want to be able to like link that away so that they don't get it back, right? So something like Azalea or even like Nightmare Phoenix, if you don't have one, that could also work as well. Okay, so lastly, onto the side deck, and it's actually going to have a decent amount of hand traps, and that is because we are going second deck in the main, and so, you know, post side, you don't actually know if your opponent's going to make you go first or second, and so when you have a lot of hand traps, it's a little bit more flexible that way, and you can do it whether going first or second. And Droll is another really good one, especially for going second OTK decks, because, you know, if you're playing Droll and you're a deck that doesn't really set up much on your own, then, you know, your opponent, it delays inevitable, and they're just going to pop off the next turn anyways. But if you're a deck that can just straight up end the game right up there, then Droll can be very good. We're going to play double DD Crow as well, just for like Unchained, but even against Pearly, this can also come up, and just a variety of those strategies. Let's say tier limits probably will come up in Rise, and so that's also another one. We're also going to play the double Ash as well against, let's say, like Chimera. It can be very deadly. We're going to play the 3 Forbidden Droplets. This is something I actually kind of wanted to main deck, but you know what, I decided to just keep the deck count at 42, but because again, I'm trying to focus on like going second and OTKing instead of Dark Ruler, which honestly isn't even seeing that much play right now anyways. I decided to go with Droplets, which is very good, and just being able to like have the attack also really helps a lot in terms of OTKing. And instead of Rivalry, I decided to play Triple Gozen, which of course is very good against something like, let's say, like Unchained, because they're actually a mix of like fire, water, and dark and stuff like that. And so Gozen match is good. I think Rivalry would also be nice if I had some space, especially in combination with Clockwork Night. Then you can kind of like set up that lock, because they're just going to be considered as machines on the field, but in the hand they're probably not playing a machine deck. So definitely play around with that. Of course, the one overflow, realistically, as weird as it sounds, I almost wanted to cut this, because nowadays I'm just finding I don't really need this anymore, especially with all the powerless spells that I'm playing in the main deck. And you know, if I'm going first, I'm probably just going to prioritize setting this under like through like thrust or something anyway. So you know what, that's certainly up to you. For now, of course, it is a very important Cyber Dragon card, so for now I do have it still in there. Alright, so that was it for the Cyber Dragon deck profile for this current format. Hopefully you found that helpful, and for those of you fellow Cyber Dragon enthusiasts, you know, hope you still find ways to have fun with the deck like I am. So anyways, a big thanks to all of you for watching. A huge thanks to my Patreons for their continued support, and well, take care guys.